Good morning, everybody. This is Google Scholar. My name is Kate Krause, and I am a librarian at the MD Anderson Research Medical Library. I have so many wonderful things to show you that are really going to help you get the most out of Google Scholar. We're going to be using a help guide that we wrote that will have all of the instructions for how to do all of the things that I'm about to show you. So just so you know, you don't have to furiously take notes and scribble down everything I say. It is all there. In the chat box, you can see the URL, mdanderson/libguides.com/Google. And that is just one of the many really wonderful help guides that we've written to help y'all find information quicker, better, faster, easier. So there's information on using Google. We want the section on using Google Scholar. They do kind of work differently. It's kind of interesting. We're going to go over just some search tips real quick, and then we're going to go over a lot of things that are going to help you set up Google Scholar so it works better. You'll be able to access the full text and immediately export things into EndNote or RefWorks, things like that make it easier for you. Let me go ahead and stop my video so we can save some bandwidth. First thing we're going to go over is some quick little search tips on how to use Google Scholar better. I know you guys are all familiar with how to do this, but there might be a few little things here you're not familiar with. There's tons of different search kind of strategies you can do in Google Scholar. I've only included the ones that I have found are most helpful for people. So for example, you've got the quotation marks if you want to keep search terms together in a phrase in that order. You can also put in possible terms in between those two words in a phrase. You can search for words just in the titles of web pages. You've got a couple of Boolean operators. You can use the or capitalized like that if you want to search for one word or possibly another. And you can exclude terms by using this little minus mark. I don't know if you can see that. Let me go ahead and jump into Google Scholar and show you what I mean. Okay. As is usual with Google, just a very plain, simple search interface. I'm going to look for, let me think of a good example. How about chronic kidney disease? Because my poor kitty just got it. So we search Google Scholar. Great. We come up with almost 3 million results, which is way too many to scroll through. So one thing that is helpful is to put this phrase into quotation marks. So it searches for those three words together in that order. And you will see that we go from almost 3 million down to, oh dear, did I spell something wrong? I did. Sorry about that. And from 3 million to 1 million. If we also do the all in title, which will limit it to just web pages that have those three words in that order in the title, we go down to 72,000. So this is getting better and a little bit more precise. We can also exclude words by using that minus mark. So if I don't want chronic kidney disease in cats, I can use minus cats, minus feline, things like that. So these are some nice little quick search tips that will help you get more precise results. There is another way we can do this, and that's by going to the Google Advanced Search mode. Let me get back to Google. A lot of people don't even know that this is here. So on the Google Scholar webpage, you don't see any link to advanced searching, a little frustrating for me at least, but you've got this expandable menu icon up here, which I love. People kind of call it the hamburger icon because it kind of looks like a hamburger, and that's a whole lot easier to say than expandable menu, so I'm going to use that term from now on. If you click on the hamburger, you can go to lots of different things over here that will help you. But the advanced search mode is right here. And it gives you this kind of busy little box with lots of different options that you can search for. So if I wanted to do chronic kidney disease as a phrase, I would just type that in here. Whoops, I cannot type today. So that will keep it together as a phrase without the words cats or feline. Oops. Yeah, I really can't type. And we can tell it that we only want to search in the title of the articles or websites. Lots of other options here. We can refine it by date or author or things like that. I'm going to leave those alone, but you can see that those are all there. Click the search button, and it pretty much does the search that I just demoed for you. So this is kind of nice. You can go to the advanced search mode. Once you have a search up here, you can, if you want to do additional searches, you can kind of tweak it from here. So let's say, for example, I looked at this, I'm finding lots of things that also have dogs in it. So I can just add dogs. And that knocked out a few more. I don't know if dogs get chronic kidney disease, but it's just using this as an example. So those are some really helpful tips about searching. Once again, these are all in the help guide that is in your chat box. So you can refer to this later when you go to search and kind of have forgotten how to do these things. Okay, let's see. We're going to go to a couple other search tips over here. Well, actually, that's all for search tips. We're going to go to setting up Google Scholar so it will be a lot quicker and easier for you to use. Let me go back to it. Most of the options that we are going to show you are up here in the hamburger icon under settings. So before we jump into there, some of the things I'm going to show you are how to get this full text button up here so that you can just quickly link to the actual full text articles. How you can add this button here so you can export all the citations you're interested in immediately into EndNote or RefWorks or whatever bibliographic citation tool you use, and lots of little things like that. There are, if you're in Google Scholar right now, you probably don't see these, well, unless you've set it up already, you won't see these, but there are some interesting little default tools that a lot of people don't notice. I'm going to just point out real fast. Everybody should see these, no matter how you've got your Google Scholar set up. This little star icon right here, that's pretty useful. That will add it to a library, so to speak. You can just scroll down and star all of the citations that you want to keep in your Google Scholar library. Now, what that means is it will save it to a collection over here where you can click on My Library. And it will just save it in a long list of citations. If you want, you can kind of create collections, or what they call it is labels, which is kind of an odd name. But these lists can get really, really long really quickly. So it helps if you kind of put them into categories or labels. So you can see here that I've got some for glucose regulation, hospital biohazards, and things like that. I don't have a label or collection for chronic kidney disease yet, but that's easy enough to do. You click on Manage Labels and create a new label. Let's say chronic kidney disease. We'll do CKD for short. I have created that label name. I go back to Manage Labels. And now you can see here that it appears on the left-hand side. I just go down here, click all the ones I want to add to that collection, click on the label icon and label it as CKD. So now when I click on this collection, whoops, that did not work. Oh, let's go back and try that one more time. Okay, sorry, forgot to click on the apply button. There we go. Now that one I just did that to is in my collection. So that's a really nice way to quickly organize citations that you're interested in if you don't have time to export them to RefWorks or EndNote or anything like that. That's a nice way to collect citations. One thing also I would recommend you do is create a Google Scholar account. Because if I do that without being logged into my little account, you can see my little face here representing my account, you're just saving it onto the computer that you're on. So when you leave your office computer and you go to your home computer, you won't see those citations you just saved. But if you create a Google Scholar account, you can log in on any computer and get all of your settings and all of your citations that you saved, no matter what computer you're on. That's easy enough to do. If you don't have an account already, you just click on the hamburger icon and you go to My Profile and set up an account. You're supposed to be able to do this with any email address, but I have found that it does not work, and you have to have a Gmail account. But that's easy enough to do. If you don't use Gmail, you can just set up a Gmail account real quickly. Even if you never use it, you can use it for logging into Google Scholar. It's a really helpful tip. That way you'll get everything no matter what computer you're on. Okay, let's see. So many things I want to show you. Once again, all of this is on the help guide on that URL. We sent you in the chat box for those of you who've logged in late. A couple other things I want to show you is how to set it up Google Scholar so you can access the full text. That is such a helpful feature, and it's not easy to figure out if you don't know the little tricks. So once again, we're going to go to the hamburger icon, click on Settings, and we are going to go to Library Links. Now, the only thing you have to do is really easy if you know how to do it, is you have to type in University of Texas, MD Anderson Research Medical Library. Those words in that order. You can't just type in MD Anderson or Research Medical Library. It specifically has to be University of Texas, MD Anderson Research Medical Library. Then you click Save, and you've got that full text button there. There's another option here for WorldCat. You guys probably don't need that. I use it, but that's because I'm a librarian. That will just show you which libraries in North America own the document that you're trying to access. So this is how you get that full text button that appears over here on the right. You should never ever pay for any article or book chapter or whatever it is you're trying to access. The library can, we have subscriptions to millions of different journals. If we don't have the particular journal that you're looking for, we can get it for you through our free interlibrary loan program. But basically, you'll see these full text links over here on the right. You just click on it. Each one might look a little bit differently. Download the PDF, and it takes a second. But there is your full text article. That is just wonderful. Just to make sure you guys understand, Google Scholar is a fantastic tool to find citations, but it will not give you the full text of the articles unless the publishers have made them freely available on the web. And that is not the case for most current journal articles. So you get access through our library website. We have paid for the subscriptions for all of the journals, and you have to set up that little full text link on the right-hand side to get the actual journals. I hope that makes sense. I see a comment in the chat box that's saying that MD Anderson is blocking Gmail right now because of security concerns. Yes, that is a good point. I'm glad you asked that. A workaround for that would be to set up a Gmail account on another computer. And then when you get back on your work computer, you can just quickly enter in that Gmail address. That should work. I believe that's how I did it originally. Let me know, though. Email me if you find that that doesn't work. And once again, you don't have to log in, but it does help to save everything so that you can access it from computer to computer. Another thing I'm going to show you how to do is to set up the imports into EndNote. So as you scroll down your list of citations, you can quickly, with one little click of a button, import your citations into EndNote or RefWorks or whichever tool you use. It's really easy to do. Once again, if we go to the hamburger menu icon, we go to Settings, and we click on this Show Links to import citations into EndNote, RefMan, RefWorks, whatever you use. It doesn't have Zotero and a few of the other citation tools, but it's got several of them. While you're here on this Settings Search Results webpage, you might want to go ahead and up the results per page that you see. It's kind of limited. Google defaults to only showing you 10 citations at a time. While you're here, you might as well up it to at least 20. Those are your only two choices, but at least you can do that. So you do those options, you click Save, and you should then see this little import into RefWorks, EndNote, whatever. So that's a very nice tool that will help you organize your citations outside of Google Scholar in your own EndNote library. Let's see. There are some default things that you don't have to set up. They're already done by Google Scholar that a lot of people don't realize that are there. You've got this little quotation mark here. That just gives you a very quick little examples of how to do a citation in various different style formats. We've got MLA and APA up here, for example. So it's helpful. I would, it's just your very, very basic citation, so you would probably have to consult the style guide that you're using for more info than that. We've got the number of other articles or books that have cited this article that you're looking at. So you can quickly see who has cited that article that you're looking at. Nice feature. May not be as complete or precise as our databases like Web of Science and Scopus. But if you're just doing some quick research where you don't have to be completely comprehensive and exact, this will help you out. Related articles, I don't find this to be very helpful often, but you might. So it just does a kind of strange little search for other articles that have similar words in the title, or maybe just similar authors, or other articles that have cited this article. It's got a really weird algorithm that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. We're just going to kind of gloss over this versions button right here because that can be confusing. We don't really have time to go into every single thing that's available in Google Scholar. I can explain that later if you need to know what it is. Okay, so let's see. Oh, so many things I'm going to show you. Oh, great. What is it? Let's see. Can we export citations for specific faculties' publications? That is an interesting question. That's a little bit advanced. You can search Google Scholar for author name instead of a topic. Unfortunately, it's a little bit difficult to refine exactly which author you're searching for. For example, let's see, if I do my own name, I know there is an economics professor with my same name, so all of those citations will come up as well. Yeah, this is a feature that doesn't work very well in Google Scholar. I would really recommend Scopus, that database, if you want to look for specific faculty publications. That works much better. You can refine, you can choose people who have the same names. You can choose which one you want to look for. Google Scholar doesn't do that very well. But it does do a very neat feature where you can look at some authors' H indexes. For example, let's see, let me do, I found a really great example here. I've already got it up. If you type in an author's name and you pick the right way to write it in, like J. Jack Lee, one of our faculty here at MD Anderson, Google Scholar will give you a list of their citation, of their articles or books, and sort of their H-index over here. Unfortunately, it only does this with people who have set up their Google Scholar profile. So each author has to go into Google Scholar, create an account, and then go through a very long list of articles to select which one they have written. It's easy enough to do. It's just take a little bit of time. All you need to do is, once again, this invaluable little menu icon over here. You click on my, you click on my profile. It will generate a list of all of the articles by, for example, my name, and then you go through that long list and pick out the articles that you have written. That's how you get that set up, and how you can make that appear so that you can see how Google Scholar does your H indexes and things like that. It's not precise, it's not complete, but you know, it's quick, it's fast, it's there. If you just want to get an idea of somebody's publications, this is a very quick and fast tool to use. Okay, let's see. Let me look at the questions. Oh my gosh, we have so many things we're going to go over, and only 8 minutes left. Let me think. Let's see. Can we start? Okay. Can we use ORCID number to search for certain authors? Oh, what an interesting question. I actually have not tried doing that. Tell you what, if you enter in an ORCID number into the chat box, we will search it and find out if that works or not. Let me see if it's available. On here, I don't see his ORCID ID. For those of you who aren't familiar with ORCID IDs, it's kind of like an identifying number for authors. So that's how you would differentiate between a Jack Lee from MD Anderson versus a Jack Lee at some other institution. I mean, Jack Lee is a pretty common name, so it's kind of like a social security number for authors. You can kind of think of it that way. And I wish I had an ORCID number we could plug in. But we'll get back to that if we have time at the end and if you give me a number. Let's see, another question. So many questions. Oh no. Advanced search to search for a certain author. Yes, well, let's see. It works sort of kind of, but once again, not as well as Scopus or Web of Science. So yes, you can go to hold on. Why is this not working? Okay, my computer seems to be, I cannot move my mouse now. Give me just a second. Let me try doing this. I'm frozen. Okay. Oh, there we go. You guys see that? Yes. Okay. Go back to Google Scholar. Let's go to, wow, advanced search mode. There we go. Bear with me, you guys. So we have an author box here in the advanced search mode, but once again, really, you have to know how to enter in somebody's name. So some authors use their middle initials, some don't. You know, some use their maiden name, their married names, their full name, their shortened name. So let's see what comes up if I just type in Jack Lee, that example we were looking at. You can't narrow it down by institution or anything else helpful like that. You could type in a word, for example, let's say cancer. And that might narrow it down to the Jack Lee that we're looking for. Hit the search button. And he does appear up here at the top, but that's because he has already created that Google Scholar profile. So that really helps. If you guys have the time to do that, that would be wonderful and help a lot of people. Another question. Oh, you guys, we only have 4 minutes. Let's see, what happens to our papers when we change our last name to something else? Oh, that is such a good question. I think the best way to handle a name change is to go into Scopus and change it there. That's where a lot of other databases pull their author ID information from. I would also create that ORCID ID number. That is also very helpful. A lot of databases will pull individual names from there. I hope that helps. Okay, back to Google Scholar, just really quickly in 4 minutes that we have left, if we don't get time to get to everything, y'all, remember this help guide that is in the library website that we've created that has all sorts of useful information on how to set up Google Scholar, for example, right here. I've got some information we just went over and a couple of other tips. For example, you can install a Google Scholar button in your browser. You can do all sorts of things. We've got some other tips and tricks here for looking at author H indexes and finding top journals in the field. We went over those really, really quickly. Accessing the full text, how to set that up so you have that button that appears. EndNote, exporting to EndNote and other citation management systems. This is kind of difficult. Even if you have that set up, you can only export, well, it defaults to sending citations one by one by one. So not the most helpful. There are some tips and tricks you can use so that you can export 10 or even 20 at a time, but that is the maximum number. So there's just no way you could export 1 million to EndNote or RefWorks. The maximum is 20. It is in that help guide. That's a little bit too advanced for me to show you right now, but you've got the instructions in that help guide. That is sort of a frustration for me, but Google Scholar has some wonderful things, and it's so quick and easy to use that little shortcomings like that make it worth it. One thing I want to mention is that why would you want to use Google Scholar instead of PubMed or Medline or Embase or any of the other wonderful databases that we have that index specifically biomedical journals? Not everything is in those indexes. There is no one index that includes every single thing. Even Google Scholar doesn't include every single article and book chapter and dissertation and all those kinds of documents. There's just simply no one place to go and find everything. But Google Scholar kind of gets close to it. Unfortunately, the drawback of that is that even though it says it indexes scholarly information, it does, but it also has a lot of sort of irrelevant junk citations in it as well. That's why we always come up with millions of results for whatever it is you're looking for. Google Scholar will include things that aren't really scholarly in nature. It doesn't vet the content at all. It just has automated robots that go around crawling a lot of academic websites, and it doesn't really care what it is as long as it comes from an academic website. So that's the reason why if you Google something like nutritional value of turmeric and whether or not it prevents cancer, you will come up with wonderful things like this example here, which is basically just a recipe for hummus, which is great. Not really an academic source, but it does come from an educational institution. So that's why you'll see a lot of things that aren't really academic scholarly citations. It will also index predatory journals. It will index pseudoscience and junk science, like the Journal of the Flat Earth Society and things like that. So when you're looking at your results, keep in mind you have to evaluate the quality of what you find. So I have 100 other things I would love to show you guys, but our time is already up. So thank you all for coming. If you want, you can email me questions about anything else dealing with Google Scholar or Google. We have contact information right here. You've got my email address. You can also just book a consultation with a librarian if you're having problems setting up Google Scholar and exporting the full text or accessing it, anything like that. We have several different ways you can contact us. Even though the library is still physically closed, we have librarians online all day to help you with any kinds of questions you have. Very easy to contact us.